I want to speak first to Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Editor at Business Today Television. Also with us is Shail Bhatnagar, Chief Analyst and Editor of Stock Markets at Business Today. So, Siddharth, what's the explanation from Madhuri Puri Buch about why this charge that's been leveled by Hindenburg Research hasn't been offered for an independent probe? The government has also come out and done a press conference to Ravi Shankar Prasad. Is there a requirement at this moment, according to you, for an independent probe?
So, of the three major charges that had been levied by Hindenburg, one was opacity in transactions, second was ownership, and third were dealings of the spouse. That is in the simplest way. How has the SEBI chairperson and her husband responded to it? Point number one, they make it very clear that as far as the Singapore and India consulting firms, remember she had a career as a consultant also, they are dormant companies. Share ownership of 99% is fine. I don't think there's any law against that. That's what they're saying. The second point, which is related to the charge of putting money in an entity that went ahead and invested in the Adani group, has not just been denied by them, it has been denied by the entity in question, which is called 361, earlier called IIFL, who have made a regulatory disclosure in India where they say very, very emphatically that there is no question of such a thing happening. In fact, I'm going to try and cite that paragraph, Rahul, for our viewers. Throughout the fund's tenure, IPE plus Fund 1 made zero investments in any shares of the Adani group, directly or indirectly through any fund. No investor had any involvement in the fund's operations or investment decisions. These are the two key points. And what has happened, Rahul, is very interesting. Unlike last January, where we saw Hindenburg double down, more details come, and that market cap erosion of $150 billion plus. This rejoinder, so to say, of this flurry of clarifications in the 24 hours after the first release, Hindenburg seems to be backpedaling on the charge that Mr. Buch had something to do with Blackstone in influencing SEBI for its real estate investment trust regulations. There's no mention of it. It also seems to now say, and I'll try and quickly paraphrase, that they now end up saying that her reply indicates conflict of interest. This is their claim. They also say that she redeemed the stake in that fund in her husband's name using private email. Make what you make of it. And then it says, seeks more disclosures. What other investments has been done in the husband's name, Mr. Bush's name? Are his clients regulated by SEBI? Will they release the full list of clients of consulting companies, which has been answered by them saying that they are dormant companies for quite some years? Will SEBI chair commit to full transparent public probe? So I guess the goalposts have moved in less than 36 hours from an original charge, the centrality of which was that the current SEBI chairperson of India had put in money in an offshore entity which went and invested in Adani. And that was pretty explosive.
Now, but the company against whom the charge was leveled has come out and put a statement saying they didn't invest in any Adani counters. The opposition, though, is asking for an independent probe, saying everybody can't be giving themselves certificates of innocence. Let it be probed. Now, I'm joined by Shail Bhatnagar, Chief Analyst and Editor Markets at Business Today. Shail, the markets opened quite nervous and anxious, and then very quickly the broader markets at least seem to have recovered. Give our viewers your reading of what happened through the day today and what's likely to happen tomorrow and over the next few days.
Hello, Rahul and Siddharth. Thank you for having me here. Well, it took us about less than 10 minutes to sidestep the googly that Hindenburg was trying to bowl, and the markets being fairly mature, and of course you had the entire weekend to study this in detail. They decided that enough was enough, and some of them, the smart investors, took this opportunity to buy into a lot of Adani stocks at lower levels. I'll just give you an idea, Rahul, as to how this was negated by the market. Adani has 10 stocks listed on Indian bourses, and all 10 of them, while they ended in the red, but they rose dramatically and appreciably from their day's low, anywhere between 1.5% to 11.5%. So the initial knee jerk that was there because of this report, it just ended in about 3-4 minutes. And from then on, you saw a lot of buying coming in, and some of these stocks, like Adani Green, actually ended in the green, up about 1%. And of course, we also saw a green tick on Ambuja Cement. So the market has more or less decided that this is a non-story or non-event. And as Siddharth very rightly mentioned, that Hindenburg is now changing goalposts. That's what the story was at our end. In fact, the Nifty was also up in the green for a fairly long period of time. But then, owing to profit booking and a basic, how should I say, money being taken away, the index ended slightly lower. As far as tomorrow is concerned, well, if today has been, the report has been negated and has been diluted, as Siddharth mentioned, I think tomorrow will be par for the course and we'll just revert back to a normal trade.
Okay.
Rahul.
HP Ranina joins us, senior advocate at the Supreme Court, leading expert in corporate governance in the securities law. Mr. Ranina, your sense of the charges leveled by Hindenburg Research, the defense that you've seen from SEBI chief Madhuri Puri Buch, where she says that actually before she became SEBI chairperson, she started winding down some of these interests. She was a highly successful investment finance professional in her life before becoming regulator. The opposition, though, continuing to ask, why hasn't a probe been ordered so far, which is an independent probe? How do you see this play out in the ambit of the securities law?
See, Rahul, the basic issue is that certain allegations have been made. They are without any substance. They are based on conjectures and surmises. The SEBI chairperson has given her point of view, which is very cogent reasons have been given. She is a lady of impeccable integrity, and there's nothing to doubt that what she has said is wrong. All the transactions took place before she took over as the SEBI chairperson, and after that, no transactions have taken place. So where is the question of having a probe? It is ridiculous that just because somebody in the foreign press says something, therefore the opposition should ask for a probe. This is no way for a responsible opposition to behave. They have to realize that they are dealing with their own senior, person who is in charge of, is a great regulator. And instead of defending her, they are trying to ask for a probe. Where is the question of a probe? In fact, the matter has been discussed. This has been a Supreme Court-based, investigation. Nothing adverse has been found. So just because Hindenburg writes something, in fact, they have been asked to reply to a particular notice which SEBI has issued to them. They have not done that. Instead of that, they make these allegations as a diversionary tactics. So these are ridiculous charges. And I think the time has come when we have to stand up to this type of, a scandalous way of doing things and making false allegations. And at the drop of a hat, you cannot ask for a probe. I think that's totally irresponsible.
Siddharth, what's most likely to happen next?
Well, I get the sense that some of the people who had earlier sort of litigated in this matter could continue to press home the point, citing the latest so-called revelations, and try and press home any advantage that they may have. Remember, of the 24 items really that were being probed in the earlier matter, SEBI has again clarified this Sunday that there is one probe that is set to be completed, and on the other 23, we imagine, because those details didn't come out in the public, but a very detailed sort of discussion happened at the Supreme Court. There was a separate committee that looked into it. Can anybody litigate and seek a fresh judicial order on this?
That's very likely. Somebody is likely to go to the courts and ask for a fresh review.
Absolutely. That could very clearly happen, and that is a possible outcome that we could see given the political sort of underpinnings around this.